Hello, Dr. Francisca Anene here, and this is PPL421 Land Law 1. I trust that you've been making progress, enjoying our lessons. So today we are going to be learning another topic on land law. Of course, you remember that land law 1 majors on customary rules of land law, customary land tenure. So let's see what we have today. So, as usual, take notes, take part in the activity, and I promise you, you will get better at it. So this is our third lesson, and today we will be looking at family property. So what we expect that you would have learned by the end of this lesson is the definition of who makes up the family under land law, identification of the person responsible for the management of family property, being able to discuss the rights and duties of the family head, and to explain rules guiding alienation of family property. What is family? Now, under land law, family is simply a man, his wife or wives, and their children. What that means, of course, is that brothers and sisters or cousins, members of extended family are not deemed to be um, family for the purpose of family property. However, an exception to this rule is that if a will creates family property, any persons who are entitled to enjoy from that property under the will be deemed to be family members strictly for that particular property, not as a general rule. So, as we also said, grandchildren are not family members. However, if a family member, that's a child, dies, his children can step into his shoes and then they become family members just because their a parent is deceased. Widows are not family members for inheritance purpose, and slaves and domestics are definitely not family members. Okay, so there are different ways in which family property can be created. It can be created by customary intestacy. So if a man who is subject to customary law dies without a will, his property will devolve on his descendants as family property. However, you must bear in mind that this will be subject to whatever customary rules limit succession, in that particular area. Then family property can be created by a will. It can also be created by a conveyance, usually a deed, to a particular group of persons, where it is expressly stated that what is being created is family property. Other ways are where land is purchased with family funds, where an owner of property makes a declaration stating that he wants that particular property to devolve as family property upon his death. That's similar to a will, but in this case, it is verbal. Then, of course, modes of acquisition of title, so settlement and conquest. So when the original settler settles and that becomes, his property, the property will devolve to his descendants and going on. Same for conquest. And the authorities, Mora and Wanusi, Idudu, and Okumagba. Okay, so let's quickly take an activity. I want you to think about what you know about settlement and conquest. And now, what do you think, apart from settlement and conquest? Let's think about other ways in which family property may be created. So I'll give you a few minutes and then we will make progress. Moving on, management of family property. Note that when we say land or property, they mean the same thing. Of course, that this is land law, so we are talking basically of land. So who manages family land or family property? It is the family head that does it, and he does it in consultation with the principal members of the family. The family head is usually the eldest male child. Though under Yoruba custom, the eldest female child could also be the family head. And the family head may also, depending on the custom, may be elected by the principal members of the family, even when he's not necessarily the eldest male. So on that, you see the case of Iyang and Ita. And then specifically, the family originator, and this has to do only with settlement and conquest, may nominate a specific person to head the family. Now, to principal members, remember we said that the family head works with principal members. Who are principal members? If it's a polygamous family, the eldest male child of each branch of that family will be a principal member. Of course, you will note the addition for Yoruba custom where eldest females can also be heads. So, if the eldest female of a branch in a polygamous family will also be a principal member. Now, in monogamous families, every child, no matter how young, is a principal member. And this has implications for consultation. The family head must consult everyone and then must obtain the consent of principal members before he can alienate any family property. Okay, so let's talk about the powers and duties of the family head. The power, of course, is the duty is the management of family property, not as the owner. He manages as a manager or a representative of the family. So, of course, he has powers incidental to his status in order to be able to carry out his management properly. When we've talked about those powers under community head, community property, it applies to family property as well. Specifically, he owes the family a fiduciary duty. So whatever powers he's exercising, he must exercise in the interest and benefit of the family, and he must be accountable for any proceeds that he collects on behalf of the family in respect of family. So where a family head breaches that duty, the fiduciary duty of the family interest and accounting for proceeds, he will be liable to account. Members can sue him and ask that he comes and lays account before the members on how he has dealt with family funds. He is not allowed to make secret profits, and any excesses that accrue to him, the family must would I say the family must first consent. So they can family members can maintain an action in court against the family head to account for monies collected. Please note that that is under the customs in Nigeria. In Ghana, the family head is not accountable to anyone. Even if he misappropriates, he's still not accountable. Now, for alienation of family property, of course, we know that alienation means to part with. It can be to part with title, to part with title. Now, it can be to part with ownership, it can be to part with possession. It is done by the family head with the consent of principal members of the family. So, a family head cannot unilaterally order partition of family property. Everyone has to agree. And family land cannot be gifted to third parties or members, whatever, but cannot be gifted without the consent of family members. And where other members of the family go ahead and alienate family property, transfer, or sell family property without the sanction of the family head and the principal members, that sale will be void. Void means there is no effect in law, it does not even exist. Okay, now let's look at three other scenarios where the family head alienates family property without the consent of principal members. The alienation will be voidable, which means that the family members or their representatives as principal members can challenge that alienation. If they challenge it, it becomes void. If they ratify it, then it becomes valid. And ratification is a question of fact. Now, where principal members alienate without the consent of the family head, it is void. There's nothing that can be done about it. It does not even exist. And then, where a family head alienates family property as his own property, it is also void because you cannot give what you don't have. That, of course, is the Nemo that principle. So, now to our second activity before we round off. I'd like you to think about the implication of a transfer of family property without the consent of the family head and principal members of the family. What do you think will be the implication and why? So take some time to think about it and then we will end this lesson. So at the end of this lesson, some of the things I hope that you would have learned is the role of the family head in the management and control of family property, the role of principal members in the management and control of family property, the principles guiding the alienation of family property by the different groups, and of course, you would have learned the definition of family under land law. As I always remind us, you can download this video and watch it again and again to deepen your knowledge. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate. Post it on the discussion forum and we will try and answer it. So until we meet again for our next lesson, keep learning and see you at our next class. Thank you for viewing this video.